Welcome. Great to have you here. A great turnout today on May 16th. We're going to start by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd ask you to join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd ask you to remain standing, and I'll have Scott Lawrence come forward and share the invocation.
Would you pray with me, please? Dear God, our gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day. We thank you for the opportunity to come together in friendship, in fellowship, in unity towards a common purpose as Rotarians. I pray that you could keep your steady and guiding hand over our world as it's very turbulent right now, most specifically Ukraine. I would pray for our country, that you would keep your guiding hand there, that we might have more unity, less discourse. And I would pray for our city. As we grow, we change. And I would pray that we would continue to reach out and to help and to assist a changing populace and all those that are in need. And God, today I specifically lift up the United Way. We have a new president, new CEO, and we had such a rich history of giving. And I want to ask that you would bless the United Way as they continue their work. But moreover, I would ask that you would have your guiding and loving hand on those that need desperately the services that United Way provides. So again, we thank you today, and I would ask now that you would bless this food to our bodies and this time to your service. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Scott. And Scott has been an absolute champion and served in just about every role the United Way has. So thank you, Scott, for that. Some Rotary business. We have a lot of guests here. We have a full agenda. We're not going to go through introducing guests, but I do want to welcome you to Downtown Rotary. Few items you may have seen: the 2035 downtown plan. There is a committee formed and is being led by the Jeff Eckhoff and his team at the City Development and Planning. They are hosting a couple listening sessions or feedback sessions this Thursday, May 19th, 4 and 6 p.m. at the Downtown Library. And they're really looking out the next 15 years, what downtown is going to look like. 5 of those 14 committee members are downtown Rotarians. So just want to bring that to your attention. We appreciate the service of those 5 Rotarians and an opportunity for you to get involved in the future of downtown. So that's later this week. That was May 19th, this Thursday, 4 and 6 p.m. at the Downtown Library. You would have seen in your email this morning, you are invited to the Circle of Courage Assembly at Hawthorne Elementary. That's May 25th. So that's next week at 2 p.m. Also that day, you have an opportunity for Startup Sioux Falls to get a behind-the-scenes tour of the work that is happening to turn that building here downtown into our startup incubator for Startup Sioux Falls. And I don't know that I see him today, but we did have the groundbreaking / wall breaking of that new facility. Matt Paulson, a downtown Rotarian, gave a contribution of $1 million to that effort. So when you see Matt, tell him thank you. Another Rotarian doing great things in our community. Looking ahead to June, mark your calendars. We have a member social on June 9th. That's a Thursday from 4:30 to 6 at our wine bar. Please stop down, have an opportunity to connect with other downtown Rotarians. Next, I'm going to ask Joni Ekstrum to come forward along with Lisa Prostrollo, and we're going to have an opportunity to induct our newest downtown Rotarian.
Thank you, President Tony. And dear Rotarians, I would like to introduce you to Lisa Prostrollo. Lisa is a partner at the Redstone Law Firm, who is the team lead of the Litigation Practice Group and is a member of the Business Law, Estate Planning, and Trust and Estate Administration Practice Groups. While not at the office working with the Redstone team, Lisa enjoys spending time with her husband, Casey, her son, Jack. She enjoys traveling, hiking, and spending time in the Black Hills. And a little known fact about Lisa, during the summer when she was attending college, Lisa worked as a wildland firefighter in the Black Hills. And if you know Lisa, that does not surprise you. Please welcome Lisa.
Thank you, Joni. It is a great honor to be here today. I've lived now in this community for a little over 12 years. Met my husband and got married here. I had my son Jack 7 years ago. I truly can't think of a better place to raise a family and to build a life. In my career, as Joni mentioned, I do a lot of litigation, but I also represent a lot of business owners. And I've had the privilege of meeting a number of different business owners and community leaders in Sioux Falls. And I hope that those relationships that I've built are relationships that will last a lifetime. So I'm joining Rotary in part in hopes that I will continue building exactly those kinds of relationships with the incredible members of this group. You know, Winston Churchill once said, "We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give." And I very much subscribe to that. In addition to building relationships as part of Rotary, I hope to be inspired by all of you in the many ways that you're making a difference in this community. And I look forward to finding a way to contribute and be a part of that. So thank you.
Well said, Lisa. Welcome. Thank you, Joni. Next, we're going to have past District Governor Steve Harrington come forward and share with us the upcoming district conference and opportunities for Rotarians to get involved. So, Steve, welcome to the podium.
Thank you, Tony. It's actually a real pleasure to be to one of the finest Rotary clubs in the country. I've seen many of them, and this is a great, great, great club. There's a poster board over there. This district conference, I'm a retired military officer, but I retired, and they said, "Hey, would you chair this year's annual Rotary celebration?" And I said, "Yes, on one condition, that it will be one of the finest Rotary celebrations this district ever had." And they said, "All right." Saddle up, Rotarians. Buckle up, my friends. I have an opportunity of a lifetime for you. We're going on a new Rotary journey, and we can't fail and we can't falter, because the world needs us now more than ever. To complete this journey and to be successful, there are three things we need to do. We need to be educated, motivated, and inspired. In our world, the poverty, helplessness, despair can be staggering, but there is hope. There are people of goodwill that work every day around this world to make our world a better place. These people are Rotarians. You see, you are uniquely qualified to make a better world. There's 1.4 million Rotarians around the world, over 35,000 local Rotary clubs, and the Rotary Foundation, one of the finest charities in the world. You can find Rotary projects in every country. Throw a dart on a map of the world, Rotary's there. Again, to complete our journey, we need to be educated, motivated, and inspired. How do Rotarians make a better world? We focus on 7 areas: water and sanitation, disease prevention, maternal and child care, economic and community development, basic education and literacy, peace and conflict resolution, and environment. You know, Rotary has risen to many challenges over its 117 years. We've answered conflict with peace. We've answered death with disease prevention, poverty with education, despair with hope. We will never know how different the world would have been if Rotary had never been founded, if one Rotary club had not been chartered, or if any single Rotarian had declined the invitation to join a Rotary Club. But I will say with absolute confidence that the world is a better, far, far better place because of Rotary. The world needs our hope, our light, and our goodwill. None of us will ever know the full impact of our actions, the millions and millions of lives we have saved, the countless tears that we have turned into smiles, and the goodwill we have given to families facing a future with little hope. But we must advance our Rotary journey. As we have said, to reach our full potential, we need to be educated, motivated, and inspired by Rotary. And I can help you. We can help you. We have put together a Rotary celebration that was designed with this in mind. We know that if we can light the flame of Rotary within you, the world will be a better place. This year, on September 23rd, in Sioux City, you have the opportunity to be educated, be motivated, and inspired by who you are, Rotarians. In conclusion, my friends, I ask that you be that Rotarian that makes a difference in this world. Let your life and Rotary legacy be that service to others came before self. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Steve, thank you for the inspiring words and for the challenge and for the opportunity for Rotarians to get involved and attend the celebration. All right, now we will turn to our program, and it's one I've been looking forward to for quite some time. We're going to start off with bios, and then we'll go ahead and turn it over to Rotarian Joel Sylvester. Jay Powell, who will be joining us remotely, was born and raised in Sioux Falls, received his degree in social work at Augustana University. He was the Sioux Empire United Way Impact Director from 86 to 89, Mankato United Way President from 90 to 98, before returning home in 1999 to serve as Sioux Empire United Way President. That was the same year that he joined Downtown Rotary, has been Rotarian since then. He has also previously served as our club's president. During his time with the Sioux Empire United Way, he has helped our community achieve and exceed our campaign goal for 27 years straight. And for those of you who are familiar, we are number 2 only to Boca Raton, Florida in per capita giving. So pretty amazing for a community of our size. And just for a little perspective, based on United Way and what a community of our size would generally raise, they would have us pegged at 2 million. We've shown them that we can take that and take it times 5. So heck of a job by the United Way there. Jay has been a champion for finding innovative and successful health and human services programs from across the country, and then subsequently bringing those back to our community where they have been embraced and championed. Examples of these programs that you might be familiar with, Girls on the Run, Challenge Day, PATH. I want to say thank you to Jay for 23 years as president, 27 years overall, for making a difference in the lives of so many. So, Jay, you're with us. Thank you. Next, seated in center here is Brenda Kibbe, who has over 35 years of leadership and volunteer experience in Sioux Falls and currently serves as board chair for our Sioux Empire United Way. When she's not serving our community as a volunteer, she is leading, she's in the role as lead change management consultant for Sanford Health, supporting several strategic priorities for the organization. In addition to 30 plus years of service in numerous roles with the Sioux Empire United Way, Brenda is also a volunteer for JA, LSS as a mentor, MB Women's Leadership Program mentoring in St. Michael's Parish. She previously served on the Volunteers of America and Business Resource Network boards. Brenda and her husband Andy reside in Sioux Falls. They have 1 daughter and 1 grandson. And Newest to our stage, to your right, Alan Turner II was recently named new president and CEO of the Sioux Empire United Way. This upstate New York native has successfully led several nonprofit organizations throughout his more than 25-year career. He has previously served as president CEO for 3 other United Ways in Tennessee, Alabama, and Florida. He has also worked at St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, American Red Cross, Boy Scouts of America, and the New York State Assembly. His dedication to the nonprofit sector has resulted in the raising of more than $250 million that has been invested in various health and human service programs across the states that he served. Alan's efforts have positively affected the lives of more than 8 million individuals and families. Alan earned his MBA at Union University and an undergraduate degree at Damon College. He has completed the executive education programs at Harvard Business School, Harvard Kennedy School, and Kellogg School of Management. He is a graduate of several local leadership programs and was honorably discharged from the U.S. Army Reserves. He shared earlier he's also been a Rotarian in the communities that he served and wants to continue his service as a Rotarian. Alan, his wife Stephanie, and their 2 children have recently moved to Sioux Falls. I would ask that you join me in welcoming Alan to our community and to downtown Rotary. With that, Joel, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, President Tony. Welcome, everybody. You know, as I look out in this audience, I see a lot of United Way champions. I see past campaign chairs. I see past board chairs. I see those that have headed up committees. So I think most of this room is pretty familiar with the Sioux Empire United Way. But Brenda, if you maybe want to start us out with just a little bit of an overview of what you've done the United Way over the last 20 years, and then kind of the things that stand out to you as important differentiators for the Sioux Empire United Way.
Thanks, Joe. So as I think back, and I was thinking about this, I thought back early in my career, I was at City, and early 80s, we had an employee giving campaign, and I learned about United Way. And at the time, it was one of those where I say, if I invest just 1 hour's pay per month, I'm going to get a day back as vacation, extra vacation day. And I'm thinking, well, that's a pretty good deal, pretty good payback. And from there, I started getting involved in the employee campaigns, had the opportunity to be a loan executive. I learned about some farm equipment and implement dealerships that year. It was very interesting. And then in the early 90s, they really hooked me. And I started engaging in the community impact side. And it was when you can see the impact that our 80-some programs have on all areas of our community, and that's when I was hooked. And just continue to give as we look to kind of our evolving needs in the community, right? How do we continue to make that impact and bring the value to those that need it the most? So that's how I got engaged and involved.
Good. All right. Well, I kind of wanted to do this as a roast of Jay Powell, but that was turned down by the committee. But I do want people just to take a minute and think back when Jay started. So it was 1999. Olivia and Annie, you guys might have still been in preschool at that point. But a few things going on in the world. Bill Clinton was facing impeachment proceedings. The Dow Jones closed at 10,000 points now. It's not racing back to that now, I think, but it closed at 10,000 for the first time. Living in Vida Loca by Ricky Martin was #1 on the radio. Yes, on the radio, because that was the only way you could digest music. And gas was 95 cents per gallon. And at that same time, Jay Powell became the CEO of the Sioux Empire United Way. So Jay, probably can't, spend time highlighting the entire, 23 years, but maybe give us some things that stand out for you over that time, and some things that really you remember.
So, Joel, I think my claim to fame is my relationship with Dolly Parton. I don't know if you want me to explain that a little bit more or just leave it there.
No, you better explain. Michelle's gonna want you to explain.
Okay, you could probably ask people in the crowd who gets the Dolly Parton books. You'd get about 2/3 of the crowd raising their hand. So anyway, when I started in 1999, the board did a strategic planning process, and we did hundreds of interviews with givers and volunteers and the community and agencies and listed all sorts of things United Way can do. And the thing that came up number one on their list was developing programs that address community needs. By far and away, that's what they wanted United Way to do. And I said, okay, we'll do that. And so we've done that now for the last 20 years. And some we developed locally and some we found nationally and brought them to Sioux Falls. And one of those we found was the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. And just when it was starting back in 2001, we connected with them, Dollywood down there, and had their executive, David Dotson, come up and speak with our board. And we were one of the first United Ways outside of Tennessee that developed and started the library in town, which gives books to every new born baby for 5 years every month. So they get 60 books selected by a blue ribbon panel nationally, and now it's all over the country and in other countries as well. But we were early on, and actually Dolly Parton came up to Sioux Falls and did a concert on the pavilion stage. I bet a bunch of you remember that. I got to introduce her. And I walked out on the stage, and they must have thought I was with Dolly because there was a thunderous applause. It was the most amazing feeling. But we introduced Dolly, and we raised money so that we could bring the library all the way across the state of South Dakota. So all the United Ways started the library in South Dakota, and we matched them 50% on what they'd raised to buy the books. And so we got that going. And then I started to talk with United Way of America to see if they would develop it as a program, and they didn't. And so I started writing to various United Ways, and they started saying, "Oh, that'd be great. We'll try that." And eventually, United Way of America did say, "Okay, we're gonna make this part of our whole system." And I got to introduce Dolly Parton to the whole system out in a national conference, and that was really fun. And so far now, we've given away more than 2 million books to kids in Sioux Falls. So over 30,000 children and their families have learned about reading through gifts to United Way. So that's probably my top initiative of all that I've been involved with. So.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jay. Well, Alan, you're going to have a tough act to follow, but now you have to come up with what your relationship with Dolly Parton is.
We can't talk about that.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. So as President Tony had kind of gone through Alan's introduction, Alan, maybe tell this group a little bit about why Sioux Falls, a little bit about your past nonprofit United Way experience, and kind of what made you think this was going to be a good next chapter for you.
Oh, perfect. Well, thank you, everybody. Well, I'm an Army brat, so I grew up all over the country. My father was a retired lieutenant colonel in state civil service. And every community we went to, I had Boy Scouts, and we always went to United Way. Who does United Way support? What agencies are really making a difference here? And in military communities, that's what we did. We helped each other. And that's what we see United Way as. They find where the need is, and they help that. I was blessed with the opportunity to start with United Way in Jackson, Tennessee, the area between Memphis and Nashville. And getting involved in that as a professional was a lot different being a volunteer at the time. I served on panels. At the time, I was a handicap, a senior, a youth. There were different panels like that, and we funded agencies. Well, in the late 90s and 2000s, a lot of United Way started changing from funding agencies to finding those programs and services in that local community. And being part of that, and being part of that community change, and finding the needs, but then finding a way to address the needs. Not just putting the Band-Aid on it, but how do we stop that need? The old story, the ogre throwing the kids in the river. Well, stop pulling the kids out. Get the ogre to stop throwing the kids in the river. And that's where I see United Way coming in a lot. Is let's go to the core of the issue. Let's stop it from continually being a problem. And as I've continued in the years and going through it and working with United Ways, I wanted to find that United Way community where I can say, this is home. This is where I'm going to raise my kids. I have a junior and a 5th grader at home, and we wanted to find that forever place. As an Army brat, you always want to plant those roots. And we searched for a while to find that community. Where can a community where we want to be as a family, where our kids would want to be? And we were here in less than a week. My son's like, this is great. I can go to college here. I already see some apartments I can start with and communities I can move to a house. So as we drive around, the pride in this community and how they take care of each other in this community has just been phenomenal. So you fall in love instantly with the look of Sioux Falls, but then as you meet the people and you see what's going on, it's a community that you just think they care. They truly care. And to be a small part of that and to join an amazing team of professionals and all the volunteers with United Way, it's just a perfect fit.
Good. Jay, you kind of had referenced what you think, your claim to fame was and some things you're proud of. Maybe give us some things that are maybe the ones that got away or things that as you step aside, you're handing off to Alan and the team and things that, as again, I look around this room and see all the United Way champions that you're hoping we can get done for you after you kind of step aside at the end of this month.
Yeah, Joel, there was, and I'll gladly hand this to Alan and Brenda.
Oh, boy.
The one big one that got away was called Early Childhood Family Education. It's a program that's universal all across the state of Minnesota. And when my wife and I were brand new parents in Mankato when we lived there, we participated as parents and brought our kids. And you just go down to the community center when you're a brand new parent and the parents get together and talk about the frustrations of being a parent. And the kids get together and play, and it lasts, quite a few years, 3 to 5 years, I think. And we tried to get that going in Sioux Falls. We funded it. We had 8 different schools that we're going to work with. It just didn't take off, but I am a strong believer that parents should have a chance to get together and trade those stories and trade those strategies. And so someday, early childhood family education would be terrific for Sioux Falls.
Good. As I look around this room, I know many of you are on boards, many of you are chair boards or board presidents. So Brenda, I'm sure probably 3 or 4 years ago they let you know that this was the next plan, and then it fell on your lap to go through and find a successor for Jay, and kind of then they probably asked you before COVID and all of those types of things. So maybe give this group a little bit of insight, what the last couple of years, have been like, as well as for the Sioux Empire United Way, as well as, some of the top initiatives or concerns or things that you have as focuses for the upcoming year.
Absolutely. So as I reflect back on the last couple of years, first of all, I have to say thank you to the staff and all of the volunteers. So if you think about what happened with COVID, between the staff and the volunteers, we didn't miss a beat. We picked up, we very quickly learned, if you think about it, happened in March. We were going through our community impact process at the time. We picked up that. Christina just ran that. We figured it out. And very shortly after that, Olivia and the campaign stepped up and we did it and we made the goal. And throughout it all, I think the other piece that was really important is the partnerships that we have with the agencies. We were in constant contact with what is it you need? How are you guys getting through? What can we do to help? We were able to identify some funds quickly. We knew with kind of the job impacts and that type of thing, $100,000 went to the Sioux Falls school districts for food certificate cards. We've continued that. So I just think about that time, and I think the tenacity of the group between the staff and volunteers to work through that was bar none top notch. What's on my mind now is the environment is changing, right? How individuals are giving and what's happening in that landscape is really changing. And I think for United Way, some of our success in the past has been built on employee campaigns. It will need to continue to do that, but we also have to look beyond that to say, what else is out there? How do we meet those donors where they're at, where they're willing to give in time, talent, and treasure to United Way? The second part of that is I think our community is continuing to grow and expand in ways that we haven't seen before. And how do we meet the needs of the community out there? I have been honored to be part of a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee that started at United Way, and we're out doing listening tours now and trying to understand what are those unmet needs in the community that perhaps United Way can help with. So really, I think you have, how do we continue to raise the money, but how do we make sure that we are meeting the needs of those children, vulnerable adults, and people in crisis in our community? That's where I think where I see the challenges are. That's what keeps me up at night. So.
Okay, Alan, you've got 2 weeks on the job, so it's go time. We're coming up on another campaign year, starting here in August. But maybe for this group, of United Way champions, what should we expect over the next month, 2 months, 3 months? As you've gotten in and looked at it, what are some things that are going to be focuses for you, and what are some things we can do to help?
Well, first I want to say thank you. I mean, just hearing the backgrounds, I'm hearing, well, he was a past chair, she was involved in this committee. We have so many board members sitting with us here that are currently on the board. Thank you for your support of United Way. Brenda hit on some key points. What worked the last 25 years will change over the next 25 years. I remember, everyone remember when Facebook and Twitter came out and people were changing from anyone remember MySpace? So that wasn't that long ago. Think of the next 10 years and 20 years after that. And the way people give. The phrase, I gave at the office. That was United Way for a good 70 years. Well, the office has changed. And COVID put it on hyperdrive. In the last 2 years, people's offices have changed. I go to this place 9 to 5 and come home. Well, now you have home. Now here's an office for some people. It's all of them. How do we contact those folks? And this summer, we're blessed. We have a strategic plan coming up. So we're going to be able to address a lot of issues and look at how we're doing it. The workplace campaign obviously is the heart and soul of United Way. We get to see the most amount of people in the shortest amount of time and give them the opportunity to participate in the United Way campaign. But we have to find different ways of contacting people, whether it's through social media, whether it's through different community functions, whether it's going out and meeting those masses. I'll be at a lot of Rotary clubs. I'll be at a lot of Kiwanis clubs. I'll be going at any community group I can get to and talking to them. Not just here in Sioux Falls. We represent 4 counties, Turner, McCook, Lincoln, and Minnehaha. We're going to be in all of those communities, sharing how United Way is impacting those local communities. What programs and services are we investing? How do we support their neighbors, their friends, their family? And so I think over the next couple months, it's going to be, right now I'm on a listening tour. I'm meeting with board members and volunteers and asking them, what are we doing good? What could we do better? How do you see United Way, in your organization, in your circle of influence over the next couple of years? And so over the next weeks, as that grows and I speak with more people, I want to then bring it to the strategic plan and say, this is what I'm hearing for our local community. Because United Way is great. It's global. It's in 40 countries. There's more than 1,100 in the United States. They're all individualized to the local community. And that's what we have here. The Sioux Empire United Way represents these 4 counties. So let's find out how we can best help these 4 counties. So as we move forward, I'm excited about the opportunities we have. We're doing some things great. I've had conversations with staff back there, board members. Some things we're doing phenomenal. We're hearing ideas that, well, maybe we tweak this. Well, maybe we add that. Those are great ideas. Let's see how we can do that in this local community.
As I hear Brenda and Alan talk about, challenges, I would pose it back to this group a little bit and really challenge you to use the United Way as a developmental tool within your organizations. I think back, to my time, and everyone gets into the situation. You didn't get a management job because you don't have any experience. Well, I can't get experience because I don't have that. Nonprofits in general, volunteering in general, but the United Way especially, because of the resources the team has in the organization, can really give you the opportunity to do that. I met Scott Lawrence through the United Way and was able to join mentors and learn how to manage different things that you just will have to do later on in business, but you've got that. And I also think that some of the younger people within our organizations have those answers better than we do, of what's going to motivate them to give, how can you connect with them, how can you really kind of work through that piece of it. So you both had kind of mentioned strategic planning. So I know, Brenda, that's on the docket for this year. Maybe talk a little bit about that process and how you think that can, help guide us into the future of the United Way.
So we are currently in the RFP process, but when I think about strategic planning, I think about how do we take the voices? So we'll be spending time hearing the voices, right? What is happening in the current environment, taking stock of that, what's kind of working, what's not working, and then how do we mold that into where do we want to be in the future? So setting those goals and that type of process. And I'm just excited because I think we are going to, as you said, maybe hear some things that we maybe haven't heard in the past. It's a different landscape or environment out there right now. So I'm excited to see what kind of that, and it will be a process of, we'll do a lot of data gathering, kind of pre-work collection. We'll spend time with both the staff and the board doing a retreat and really understanding, what is that core value that we bring to the Sioux Empire? And then how do we take those core values and really build on that for the future?
Good. Again, I know, Alan, this is, brand new to you, and we do have the strategic planning session coming up later this summer. But, as you look at, you kind of talked about some of the things that you're recognizing with Sioux Falls. President Tony had talked about most United Ways our size are going to do about 2 million. We're doing 10 million. This is not your first United Way. So maybe talk about some of the things that you've seen in the past that have really made United Ways and communities successful, as well as maybe some of those things that are not always prevalent and need to be effective.
Well, I think to be prevalent, people have to know what we're doing, and it's sharing the message, sharing the results, sharing why United Way is there. United Way doesn't exist to just get a big bag of money and hand checks out. United Way is there. The people we're investing in, the programs and services that are being invested with the community's dollars. Well, let's share what's going on with those. And the United Ways I see really having success, they're able to share the process, share what they're doing. And a lot of people in this room, this is preaching to the choir. You've been part of that process. You've been part of the organization. You've been involved. You've heard the message. There's still people in this town when I just moved in a couple weeks ago. Oh, why are you here in Sioux Falls? Just moved with United Way. Is that the airline or the moving company? People truly don't know. I mean, it sounds like a punchline, but if it's not in your circle, it's not in your workplace, some people still don't understand what United Way does. It started off as community chest, then became community fund, then became United Funds, depending on, and then turned into the United Way we know today. But only if it's part of your work culture, only if it's part of the culture. There's so many people who work today have no idea what we do. We have to share that message, and we have to work with those partners and those agencies to share that message, to get that out there. It's working through groups like this. Many of you are already involved and engaged, and thank you for that. But finding others to be involved and engaged and become those ambassadors and grow that ambassadorship throughout the community. So when you're in a room and you mention United Way, you don't see any hands going up and say, excuse me, what exactly are you investing that in? Why are you doing that? Because everyone in that room should have that purpose, have that feeling behind it where I know United Way is doing the best with the dollars that we invest. And it's constantly, it comes down to communication, and a little more communication.
Okay, Jay, last question for you. So 27-year winning streak. I think 8 years raising over $10 million. As you look back, what are some of the things that stand out as the secret sauce for us all to remember? And what are some of the things from your chair that you would kind of emphasize as a go forward that will continue to allow us to be successful?
The one thing, Joel, that I know I was going to be asked this question, so I gave it some thought. It's the ownership, and I've seen this so many times, either in campaign meetings with campaign volunteers, or seeing the community impact process, seeing the staff, how they take the ownership. People in United Way, be it staff or volunteers, it's their United Way. Every single person just about acts as if it's completely their United Way. They're going to get their job done, just like it's a company situation for them. I'm just so amazed that both staff and volunteers look at United Way, and there's no taking it easy. There's no treating it as not important at all. There's just this sense of, I'm part of this, and I'm going to get my piece done well, and I'm happy to be part of United Way. So the culture of ownership, and I guess I don't know how to say that in the right business terms, but the culture of ownership in our organization is so strong. That's what really has made us so good. We have a management philosophy of really encouraging staff and volunteers to take that ownership, and to, if they have an idea, we encourage them to go ahead and give it a shot. And it just has paid off over the years. If you see, I don't know if I asked Brenda or Alan, if you see a group of United Way people together, they're all about getting their job done. So that's what's really driven us.
Okay, well, just like Steve Harrington had mentioned that as Rotarians, we have a chance to attend a district conference in Sioux City. As downtown Rotarians, you get something that most don't. You get a chance to ask Jay Powell one last question. This is really his last opportunity to be on stage, or get first crack at Alan or anything that's outstanding, Brenda. So I will. To this group, I don't know if you've got a mic for the audience, but I will open it up to any questions that anybody may have for Jay, Brenda, or Alan.
Hi, my name is Shelley Johnson. I'm a longtime volunteer with the United Way. And recently, in the last year, we've had over 7,000 people move into the area. From what I've read, that's about double of what the normal influx is into our market. So with a lot of those new people, maybe working remotely as part of your strategic planning session, how will you address that workplace message when you have people who are new to the community and maybe aren't working for a local company?
I think that's one of our challenges that to really figure out, right, as Alan talked a little bit about, right, our demographic and how folks are, if you even look at job opportunities out there, majority of them are remote. So I think it's how do we tap into some of those social media or events that we can incorporate into that. I don't know, Alan, if you had anything else that you would add.
And it's really finding best practices that have worked in other areas. And some of the other organizations I was involved in, we would have United Way Sunday, where we'd actually attended some churches just to share what, and we didn't ask for money. It was to share what United Way is doing. We shared about 2-on-1. We shared about some of the food centers we had people could go to. And we just passed that information for them to share. They may need it. They may know a family member. They may know a friend who needs it. But it was sharing the information, letting people know. It was working with local realtors. So when you get that welcome basket from the realtor, there's a card in there talking about what United Way does, asking them to join as a volunteer, join as a young leader or an emerging leader here as our group, which if you know anyone who's interested in emerging leaders, this Thursday night at Remedy, we're having our annual meeting. So tell anyone you know, see, I got that plug in. But it's really finding different messages, because you just can't rely on a workplace campaign, like you said, and use the use of social media. I love social media. I want to see that used more, but inviting people to different events, whether it's an open session, whether it's a night at Remedy to learn about it, whatever it may be. But it really is going to have to be part of our messaging moving forward.
Jay, the question was with people working from home and, kind of that change in culture, how can we continue, to connect? Maybe give your perspective on the last 2 years and how things, really have changed and what you've seen as kind of success stories there, and what you think are going to be keys to success with that group, as well as Shelley had mentioned 7,000 new people moving in and new businesses that maybe don't have that United Way culture yet.
Yeah, Joel. I have to give Olivia credit for flipping our United Way into a virtual mode in a matter of a few weeks in 2020. We had to make that change. She put tremendous materials together, and we did rallies online. We did training online, but it doesn't get the same experience as when you can get people in a room and look at each other and say, hey, we're gonna give to United Way. So we had a great campaign 2 years ago. We had a terrific campaign this last year because we got back to more in-person meetings. And I think what Alan has said about communicating is important, because people come from other towns, and United Way is not that big a deal in a lot of cities. So they're shocked really to come to Sioux Falls and find out that there's 6,000 or 7,000 people that give us $500 a year. That's just not heard of anywhere in the country. So part of this is just word of mouth. So if we can keep getting rallies together, get people in the room, those who are at work physically, and they can talk to each other too about why they believe in United Way. That's a big deal as well.
Craig Lloyd has a great story whenever he meets a new business leader that's moving to Sioux Falls. His first comment is, "You better be ready to give." So that's good to set the expectation right away. So, Mike, you had a question?
Yeah, first of all, Jay, thank you for your tremendous service to our community. Really great.
Welcome.
Perhaps you or your panelists, your associates here, can tell us who are some of the top recipients of the United Way funding, and then tell us how has our funds been used by those organizations.
Jay, you want to take that one?
I can take that one. One program that with Children's Home Society, we started a program called Bright Start. And what that program does is for the most struggling moms, those who have very little resources and both monetarily and as parental guidance, we put nurses with those families in the second trimester all the way through the second year of that child's life. And they come every other week and they teach that parent to be a great parent. And that's like $600,000 that we give to that program, because we have 8 nurses and they can see 25 families each. So we can do almost 200 families. That's a very intensive, very expensive program, but very effective in creating a great family unit where there wouldn't be one. If you don't know how to parent and you've had a terrible upbringing yourself and you're challenged that way, you're not going to be it's likely you're not going to start a new family in that way. But with a nurse, an advanced practice nurse that meets with you every 2 weeks, you can really create quite a relationship with that child. And we put a lot of money into that, and it's some of the best money we've ever spent. So that's actually it's called Bright Start. It's with Children's Inn, which is part of Children's Home Society as well.
Well, Jay, you can't see the audience, but Michelle LaValle is front and center here.
Oh, there you go.
I think she's sending a bottle of wine your way for the plug. So that'll be perfect from that of it. So.
Hi, Alan. Jennifer Hazing. I'm one of several in the room today who will work with partner agencies. So to tease out that question a bit further, we're grateful for the investments the United Way makes in our work and locking arms and walking together to close the gaps for those children and vulnerable adults and people in crisis. Can you speak a bit to the future for partner agencies and what we might expect in working together as we look to the future?
Absolutely. And if you haven't received my email already, I'm reaching out to all the executive directors and presidents of our partner agencies. Have a cup of coffee one-on-one, and I've already started that. And we will have another meeting next month. There'll be more information about that to come. But you know, I consider United Way more than a funder. We're a partner. Our volunteers have decided to invest in that program and service. And I want to move beyond just it's not just a transaction. We now say we've endorsed your program because we're investing in it. We want to help promote that. We want to partner. Well, as we said, we're going through a strategic plan. How far do we go with that partnership? What other opportunities are there to partner? So I can't speak just as Alan's rule, here we go. No, it is a community organization, and it really needs to go through the strategic plan with the board and our volunteers and feedback from agencies, and it's really going to develop. But I do envision it moving farther than it is right now.
Ron Williamson. Jay, this is for you. You're going into retirement. I think it's only fair that we all get to have an opportunity to know what your plans are. Are you going to stay in the area? Are you going to keep giving to United Way? How's it going?
I will definitely stay in the Heart Club. And I have asked to join the retiree committee for United Way, and I was accepted into that as well. With Christina Rist, she mentioned, yeah, Jay, we'll involve you. It might sound a little bit boring, but I have lots of books and lots of movies I want to see. I'm going to improve my cooking skills. I'm going to play a little piano. I'm going to do a little painting, all 5 of those things, and spend more time having lunches with friends. So that's my plan, I guess. I will do a little traveling, but it's mostly focused here in Sioux Falls. We both grew up in Sioux Falls, Michelle and I. We still live in the same home that we raised our kids in. We intend to stay right here.
thanks again for being here today. You touched on it. We have 5 generations that are in the workforce right now. You talked about the evolution in giving and how people learn about that. You talk, Alan, Brenda, to what you've seen, what has worked, maybe what hasn't worked, and what we can expect moving forward. I think for a lot of us, we learned how to give and we learned how to volunteer through United Way. In the workforce of the future, what is that? What do you see when you look ahead?
Well, I'll let you go, and then I'll.
So I think about, or what I see looking ahead, it's a way to, how do we, I'm trying to think of the right word, but we need to get them engaged. So I think about some of the work that our emerging leaders group is doing, right? It's about helping them to see the impact in our community by volunteering or giving them opportunities to volunteer. The other thing that I think that we have done well since COVID is switch to an opportunity for online giving. And I think it's how do you get the stories out there to get people into that online giving? I know of Brandy and maybe Olivia probably has the answer to this, but the amount that was done right on the website is continuing to change. So I think it's giving those different avenues for individuals to hear our story and then to give differently than just the employee campaign.
Absolutely, getting their story out there, and the 5 generations. That's 5 different ways to communicate. Someone who grew up reading the newspaper, someone who grew up watching the news, someone who started watching the internet, someone on social media, and then someone who does TikTok, because I don't understand that, so I don't count that as social media. But you have to change the message, and you have to communicate to them. You have to tell them the story. You have to engage them, and then bring them in so that they want to give. And we're finding millennials and Zs, they just don't want to give. They want to get involved. I always say they want to get their hands dirty and be part of the process, not just write a check. So we find ways to engage them more in our partners and the programs and the services. And then finding those different avenues we mentioned of communicating to them. Because there is no workplace, just a desk. That's not every job now. There's so many people working from home. And like I said, COVID really did put us on hyperdrive of changing into technology of how do we do that. And I think they've done a marvelous job here at the Sioux Empire United Way. We want to build on the work that they've done on reaching out. I went to church on Sunday and they no longer pass a collection plate. There was a QR code there to give at church. That was like the last place I expected a QR code, but they're just showing how the world is just changing very quickly, and we need to keep up pace of that. And like I said, they've already started us off on that path, and I think we're just going to continue moving forward and finding different ways to do that.
All right, well, Brenda, Alan, thank you for your participation today, and Jay. Thank you. 23 years as a mentor, a champion, just a steadfast leader within the community and the United Way. So thank you for all you have done, and best of luck in the future. Rotarians, if you'd help me thank him, that'd be great.
Okay.
All right, Joel, Brenda, Alan, thank you. Jay, thank you for joining us remotely and for the work that has been done, will continue to be done to make this community a better place. So we appreciate that. And we're going to talk about another one of those opportunities. Timian Dysart and Randall Beck will be here, and they're going to talk about going into neighborhoods and shrinking the opportunity gap. So a great program. Invite you back next week. But once again, just ask you to say thank you to Jay and to Brenda and Alan for their work and for being here today.
Thanks, Tony.
With that, Rotary is adjourned. Have a great week.
Thanks, everybody.